Hello and welcome to our CEO's Talk Sustainability presented by Volvo. And today we have on the show Jyoti Malhotra, who's the MD of Volvo Cars in India. He's joining us to talk about the sustainability efforts by his company. Jyoti, always a pleasure to welcome you on the show. My first question, as a global player, what are the tenets towards sustainability that Volvo has incorporated?
All right, thank you. So happy to be with you on this show today. Uh, First of all, Volvo cars are known for safety forever. I think we are that is in our DNA, and now we have committed that as far as sustainability is concerned, sustainability will be as important as safety. So you can understand the sort of commitment that we have behind sustainability now. So that's our real position.
Right. And so, Jyoti, how difficult or easy has been it to be incorporated in India when it comes to your ESG standards? And how are we much ahead globally compared to India? How will you position that?
See, we are basically following our global stand on the ESG. We have very clear on some of the things that we need to do globally as well as then sort of replicate them here in India. So it's not an easy journey. We all know that. Uh,
Yes.
for example, I think the starting point is that we say that we want to become a carbon neutral company by 2040. So what do? You start with your core product, which is basically cars. So globally, in 2017, Volvo Cars announced that we are the one of the first to announce that we are going to exit ICE and completely move into electrification. And there was a path that is defined that how do we sort of move on that path towards full electrification by 2030. And as
Yes.
far as India is concerned, we are also taking that path. Recently, last year, we have moved away from diesel into a complete petrol portfolio as a step one. And then we are going to then start introducing more electric cars. The first one is going to come XC40 Recharge this year. And from there, we have a plan to follow the global queue on adding one more car every year. And by 2025, 50% of our sales will come from electric cars and maybe more in India. And by
Mm.
2030, we will be selling only electric cars. So that's the direction that we are on, and we are confident on moving in that direction as far as the product is concerned.
Right. So Jyoti, to my point then, yes, electrification seems like the answer to the automobile sector when it comes to sustainability and climate consciousness, and everywhere there's a huge thrust towards it. But looking at the reality, how easy or difficult is it? And when we talk about the Indian context, electrification of cars, how easy is it?
I think it is not easy. I would say it's a disruption which is happening, I think globally as well as here in India. Sustainability is a basic driver towards this disruption, and it is not going to be an easy journey, but we are committed. So when I say it is not easy, right now, I think everybody is talking about a lot of anxieties for customers. Are customers ready to come forward and buy the cars? Is the infrastructure ready? Is I think overall ecosystem ready to bring these cars here in India? And I believe that I think if we go back 2 years, 2 years back, these were relevant questions. But today, our own surveys with our customers show that customers are not ready to buy cars. I think 2 years back it was more about curiosity. Today, customers are coming forward; they're ready to buy these cars. And the reason,
Mm.
especially I would say in our own segment, in the luxury car segment, that these anxieties don't hold to that level. First and foremost, one of the concerns which typical customer has is about, let's say, range. And if we are going to offer a range which is, let's say, more than 400 kilometers, that is then taken care of. The second big
Right.
anxiety that customers have is with regard to charging infrastructure or charging ecosystem. And
Yes.
that is, I think, in a way answered, because if you give a range of, let's say, 400 kilometers, then the customer may not be dependent only on the public charging. Public charging will only complement, but
Yes.
this customer can set up his or her own personal charging, and we are that is
Mm.
what we are going to sort of really back our customers with, and also ensure that they are doing this in as sustainable manner as possible.
Right. So you are linking a very important aspect here, Jyoti, that is the renewable energy space and usage of energy. Again, at that point, being climate conscious about it. But then renewables has one big problem, that is of battery life and also of having that storage, because renewables have their own timing. Now, round the clock, renewables energy requirement is a very important ask. And how are you seeing the technology developing on that? And is the evolution keeping pace with the electrification and the requirements that we have from renewable energy?
See, the technology is definitely, I think, improving leaps and bounds every time. I think, as for example, I just told you about the range. I think few years back, I think 400 kilometers was a big range. I think this is just, I would say, a beginning, and it will only improve from here. What is more important as a auto manufacturer and responsible auto manufacturer is that when we are selling these cars, we need to ensure and support that our customers are charging these cars using renewable energy as much as possible. Because if you see in India, we are dependent on the grid is still fossil fuel driven. But what we are planning is that for our own customers, when a customer buys our car, we are obviously going to offer a charger to be installed at customer's place. But we are also planning to offer let's say a solar panel to support the electrification or the charging for that car. It can be
Yes.
done at the premises, whether it is residential or whether it is a factory or whether it's an office. So we are going to offer this. Obviously, customer needs to pay for it, but our own internal insights with our consumers show that customers are willing to move in that direction, and that is the
Right.
way we can bring this difference and make it happen that customers are using renewable energy while charging these cars, and to make these cars truly sustainable.
Right. So that's a very good idea for change that you brought about, Jyoti, here, because a lot of companies looking at electrification have been looking for many solutions of this type. But help me understand, where can government support or even policies support this particular cause, since we have a lack of infrastructure and not many will be able to pay for the kind of technology and solutions that you're providing?
Yeah, so I think if you look from a government perspective, government has very clearly come out with a charging handbook, and I think I've gone through that. So they have very clearly defined the different levels of charging system or ecosystem that is required. So starting with the public charging, then there are going to be so let's say charging at malls and open areas, and then there could be personal charging, and they have very clearly defined all of these. And only thing which I believe needs to be done now is to accelerate that pace and ensure that the public charging infrastructure will come into place. My personal belief is, if we see go back in history in India when the mobile phones were just coming in, we were apprehensive about whether India will have sufficient coverage, being such a huge country, and I think we saw what happened. And I'm sure it's a matter of time, because now you see interest in electric vehicles starting from a two-wheeler to a mass consumer car to commercial vehicles to cars. So I think public infrastructure is need of the hour, and I think there is a lot of interest, and it is already picking up pace. Government is supporting it in a big way, and I'm sure it will come around. It's a matter of time. It is coming around in a very, very fast pace. That is one. The second very
Right.
important thing is government has very clearly defined sort of various, whether there is a FEMA support or there is other tax support that are available. I think the most
Yeah.
important thing I would say is continuity. I think
Yeah.
our industry needs a very clear sunset. I think it can't be, we know that it can't be forever, but I think that has to be clearly defined that whatever is available, there are very good policies, they should have a continuity.
Mm.
If these two
Yes.
things are done, I'm sure electrification will pick up in a very big way.
All right. So infrastructure development is very, very crucial for this adoption. And government has to put all of these efforts on a fast track. And continuity is what most of the business community is also asking for in terms of the purpose as well as intent. But Jyoti, you spoke about the customer acceptability over here. And customer acceptability is a very crucial piece because this is a consumer good that you are dealing with. And adoption needs to come from the cause from the consumer side and the demand from the consumer side and their ability to pay extra for it. How do you define this particular consumer trend and the mindset of Indian consumers towards this particular cause?
All right. So I think our own insights show that I think few years back, I would say just 2 years back, customers had a lot of curiosity. Now they have moved from curiosity to sort of readiness, I would say, but they need some answer. As you rightly said, first and foremost is customers want to support this technology. They understand this is a new technology and they're ready to pay a premium for that. But the question is how much premium? If we are going to offer a car which is, let's say, double the price of let's say a regular ICE engine, probably customer is not ready to pay that. Customer is willing to pay a decent premium, and as OE manufacturer, it is our responsibility to find that sweet spot. I believe that it is possible. Our own strategy is to find that sweet spot where customer is ready to move away from buying an IC car and adopting a fully electric car. And price is going to be, as I said, a sweet spot of price is going to be important. Some premium will definitely be there, but I think it has to be a decent premium on any regular ICE car, because there are other benefits that accrue along with this purchase. And then, as I said earlier, there are other supporting things, whether it is about, for example, uh, a program on battery warranty. So we need to offer a long period of warranty, because that is another anxiety which customers have, that if I buy this car, okay, I may
Hmm.
start saving fuel, but when do I need to change my battery pack? And I think
Yes.
if you offer a real, let's say, a 6 7 year sort of battery warranty, that anxiety is also then taken care of. And
Yes.
then I think we just spoke about, I think, about the infrastructure coming around us, and we will
Hmm.
support a personal and retailer driven infrastructure availability for our consumers. So I think these things are
Yes.
now coming to a stage where I believe that customers are now ready. We already see some of the players already selling out all the cars that they're able to manufacture. So I'm sure, I think, and we have a lot of interest. We had to
Yes.
delay, to be very honest, we had to delay our launch of XC40 from 21 to 22 because of the chip shortage that you know about. And we
Hmm.
know there are a big number of customers who are already ready to sort of come forward and buy, and they're waiting and asking us, when are you bringing this car? So we are very
Yes.
excited, and I'm sure consumer is ready to sort of move on and buy the cars if we are offered them at the right value proposition.
Right. So we spoke about the consumer acceptability here, Jyoti, but also for the companies to pivot in the electrical direction. What is the kind of cost composition that we're talking about and the impact on the bottom line? And how does this particular sustainability thrust tie in with your business strategies as well as profitability and value creation for the investors?
See, I think I would talk more from a consumer perspective, more than shareholding being a private limited company here in India. I think for us, the most important thing is that how we can offer the right value for our consumer. If we are able to offer the right value and parallelly ensure that it is sort of a good business case for us, and that is exactly what we are working on. So we are already in sort of a process of setting up a CKD facility sort of study, evaluating the CKD facility setup for electric cars here in India. And we believe with the CKD setup here, we will be able to offer consumers the right value and also the right sort of business case for us. And I think we believe that
Right.
we are very close to doing that. And I think if we can achieve that, we will be in a position to offer good value for our consumer, obviously for our company as well.
Yes, so convergence of all these factors are also very, very important, Jyoti. But let's talk about the next few years till the electrification process really takes the full shape. We are still going with the conventional automobile sources as part of commuting, and we are looking at reducing also the carbon emission And also, sustainability as well as ESG is about taking care of it at every step of manufacturing. Give us a sense of what Volvo Cars is doing in terms of putting in the ESG standards at every step in the current operations.
All right. So I think with regard to this becoming a carbon neutral company by 2040, we have given ourselves some milestones. It is not that okay, we are waiting for 2040, and I think it happens like that. So, for example, we have set ourselves very clear goals
Yeah.
from 2018 to mid decade, which is let's say 2025. Where do we want to
Hmm.
achieve? So we have a very clear, I would say, uh, ambition of reducing tailpipe emissions by 50% through
Hmm.
our the cars that we sell. We reduce our supply chain emissions by 25% by 2025, and we reduce operational emission, including logistics, by around 25%. So all these things put together would mean that we are able to reduce our carbon footprint per vehicle by 40% by 2025.
Right.
And a lot is being done in that direction, whether it is our manufacturing, whether it is our suppliers, or whether it is our dealers. So I think we are working with everyone. So just to give you a sense, for example,
Hmm.
with our suppliers, we have identified
Yes.
20 strategic global partners, and we are sort of working with them to reduce their carbon footprint, but ultimately in the value chain, in the whole supply chain, their carbon footprint also adds up to our carbon footprint. So we are working with them, coaching them, and taking commitments from them to reduce carbon footprint in alignment to
Hmm.
our own emissions.
Right. So the onus really lies, Jyoti, on the big companies to create an overall ecosystem when it comes to the entire ESG tenets that we have to follow going forward. But you spoke about climate consciousness. Any particular innovation that or idea that you are using in this particular journey of yours, which other vehicle companies and manufacturers can take note of and probably incorporate?
Yeah, so I think one thing that we have, I would say, identified for ourselves here in India is that we are also working very closely with our retailers, our dealers. And I think we have an ambition of making all our dealers into what we call them as green dealers, and we have set up a evaluation of how we are going to measure them. So in 21, uh, our I would say theme was water conservation. So we have worked with them because in during at the workshop a lot of water is used. So we are sort of working with them on ensuring that it is done in the best possible sustainable manner, and we have, I think, achieved it in a very good way. Most of our dealers now have a ETP plant, or they use steam washing and different ways that they can achieve this water conservation. So
Sure.
that was our theme in 21. In 22, we moved to energy conservation. So all our dealers
Yes.
are now setting up not only a charging infrastructure, but also ensuring that their power is coming from wherever feasible through solar energy or some other renewable source of energy. And that is going to be our thrust. So we have in phases making our dealers become what we are going to call, let's say, green dealers. So every year we have set a milestone. So in 21, we wanted them to be, let's say, on a scale of 100 to become, let's say, 35. Then by 2022 end, we would like to take them to a scale, let's say, at 70. And by 23, make them close to almost 100% a green dealer on various things that we have in mind to make our retailers uh,
Sure.
green and sustainable.
So there are great ideas that are coming across from Volvo in terms of the climate consciousness as well as looking after the environment while still being a big leader in manufacturing. But Jyoti, I want to ask you, there are other components of ESG. What about social as well as the governance aspect and also gender diversity, which is an important tenet of ESG compliance?
Okay, so I think I would say when it comes to the social part of it, I think we are. I think for us, when we say sustainability, it is a 360. It is not just about climate consciousness. It does involve social as well as governance related aspects. So let me give you on a diversity theme. We have a aim of having, let's say, 50-50 diversity in our leadership positions globally. In India, 2 years back, we were like effectively all male dominated or 100% male management team here in India. Now we have 25% already female representation in the management team here in India. And we are working towards globally to go to a 50-50 situation. But I will share one very interesting thing with you. The initiative that we have taken globally is with regard to what we call as a gender neutrality when it comes to parental leaves. And
Yes.
I think when it comes to, typically we call them as maternity leave. That's why we are calling them as a gender neutral paternity leave. All
Yes.
our employees who have been with us for more than 1 years are
Yes.
eligible, even if they are males, or even if they are sort of same sex partners, if they adopt a child, or there is a surrogate child, or whichever ways, if they are
Yes.
becoming a parent, they can also avail a 120 days parental leave. And
Right.
we pay them 80% of their salary for that period, and they can use this over a spread of 3 years. And
Yes.
this is something which our sort of all employees across globe have really sort of they're very happy about this one, because see, as parents we have all gone through this phase, and you want to give more time, but then your work
Yes.
pressure comes back and hits you. But I think we are very clear, we have offered this as a gender neutral policy, and we have also adopted
Yes.
here in India as well.
All right, Jyoti, there are some great ideas coming from you, and I'm sure there are many such ideas that even corporate India, manufacturing, other manufacturing companies can really take note of as they embark on their journey towards sustainability. And you mentioned about gender neutrality. Yes, the basic aim post gender diversity is definitely moving towards more gender neutrality, and especially in manufacturing areas, which is male dominated primarily. So, great ideas there, and great chatting with you on your thrust towards ESG and what the company is doing for that compliance as well. Thank you so much, Jyoti, for joining us right here on the show. And with that, it's a wrap. Thanks to our viewers for tuning in.